The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council had never been this crowded. Representatives from over 300 civilizations packed the grand chamber of the Arcturus station, their worried murmurs echoing off the crystalline walls. Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's chief xenoastrophysicist, stood at the back of the chamber, carefully studying the holographic display that dominated the center of the room. The display showed a spreading darkness that consumed entire star systems, leaving nothing but emptiness in its wake. The Void Collective, as the Council had named it, had already devoured 17 galaxies in the past millennium. Now it approached the Milky Way with inexorable momentum. The ascended races have already begun their exodus, announced High Counselor Zixtal, his crystalline form pulsing with distress patterns. Their calculations show the void will reach our galaxy within 50 years. We must follow their example and retreat to the Andromeda Galaxy while we still can. Sarah couldn't help but notice how the other representatives nodded in agreement, their various appendages and sensory organs conveying resignation. Humanity had only joined the Galactic Council 15 years ago, considered primitive by most standards. Yet here they were, watching races that had mastered dark energy and built Dyson spheres prepare to run. With all due respect, High Counselor, Sarah spoke up, her voice carrying across the chamber thanks to the universal translators. Humanity requests permission to study the Void Collective before we commit to evacuation. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of protests. A quantum intelligence from the Silicon Concordat flickered in agitation. Study it. The void has consumed civilizations far more advanced than yours. The crystalline empire tried to study it. Their entire home system vanished in an instant. Sarah activated her neural interface, projecting a series of complex equations into the shared consciousness space of the chamber. We've been analyzing the Council's data on the void. There's a pattern to its expansion that suggests intelligence, perhaps even purpose. Look at these gravitational irregularities. We've seen the patterns, interrupted Zixtal. They only confirm its hostile intent. Or they might indicate an attempt at communication. Sarah countered. The void doesn't just consume space. It reorganizes it. The quantum fluctuations we're detecting match theoretical models for higher dimensional information storage. A meridian elder, their time-shifted form shimmering between moments, spoke next. Your species' curiosity is admirable, Dr. Chen, but this is not some scientific curiosity. The void unmakes reality itself. Even we, who exist partially outside of time, cannot predict or understand its nature. Sarah smiled, a gesture she knew many alien species found unsettling. That's exactly why we need to try. Humanity has a long history of turning the incomprehensible into the understood. We were still using combustion engines when we first detected dark matter, but we didn't let our technological limitations stop us from studying it. She manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on the edge of the void's expansion. We've already begun constructing specialized observation platforms. The Hawking array will allow us to study the void's effect on spacetime itself. The quantum entanglement network we're building could potentially allow us to receive data even if the platforms are consumed. And what if you're wrong? Asked a representative of the Machine Collective, their networked consciousness speaking through multiple avatars simultaneously. What if your observations only draw its attention to our galaxy sooner? Then we'll have lost nothing. We're already in its path, Sarah replied. But if we're right, if there's even a chance to understand what we're facing. She paused, looking around the chamber. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before. Each time, it was understanding, not running, that saved us. The chamber fell silent. Sarah could see the various representatives communicating through their own channels, processing her words. Finally, High Counselor Zixtal spoke again. The Council will permit Earth to proceed with its observation mission, on one condition. Your species must agree to evacuate immediately if we determine the risk has become too great. Sarah nodded. Agreed. Though I should mention we've already launched the first wave of platforms. Several representatives rippled with shock. We found it's often better to ask forgiveness than permission when the fate of civilization is at stake. As the chamber erupted once again in a mix of outrage and reluctant admiration, Sarah's neural interface pinged with a priority message from Earth Command. The first data streams from the Hawking Array were coming in, and they were unlike anything predicted by current physics models. The void wasn't just consuming space, it was transforming it into something else entirely. Sarah smiled again, this time with genuine excitement. Humanity had taken its first step toward understanding what might be the greatest mystery in the universe's history. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was turning the unknown into the known, the impossible into the possible. As she left the chamber, Sarah could hear the other representatives already beginning to debate the implications of humanity's unilateral action. Let them talk. Earth's scientists were already processing the first real data anyone had ever gathered about the Void Collective. Whether it was a natural phenomenon, a weapon, or something else entirely, they would find out. The real question wasn't whether humanity could understand the void. It was what they would do with that understanding when they got it. And that, Sarah knew, was what truly terrified the Council. Because if there was one thing the galaxy had learned about humans in the brief time they'd known them, it was that they never simply observed. They acted. They changed things. They refused to accept any problem as unsolvable. The fate of the galaxy now rested not just on humanity's ability to understand the incomprehensible, but on their determination to face it head-on. As Sarah boarded her shuttle back to the Hawking Array, she couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. The Council saw humanity as reckless, primitive, perhaps even foolishly optimistic, but they would soon learn what every challenge in human history had learned. Underestimating humanity's resolve was always a mistake. 6 months after the Galactic Council meeting, Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of the Hawking Array's central hub, watching the swirling patterns of the Void Collective through specially designed quantum filters. The massive structure, built from repurposed asteroid material, housed the most ambitious scientific project in human history. But what they had discovered in those 6 months had exceeded even her wildest expectations. "The patterns are getting stronger," announced Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, his holographic avatar materializing beside her. As the project's lead quantum neurologist, he split his time between the array and Earth's quantum computing center. The void isn't just storing information, it's trying to process it. Almost like it's thinking, Sarah finished. She manipulated the quantum display, highlighting a particular sequence of fluctuations. "Look at these oscillations. They're remarkably similar to human neural patterns during deep sleep." The observation deck's door slid open, admitting Ambassador Vextrol, son of High Counselor Zixtal. His crystalline form had taken on the darker hues of concern. "The Council demands an immediate update. Our long-range sensors detect the void's acceleration has increased by 12%. Sarah nodded, unsurprised by the news. "Because it's responding to us. Every probe we send, every measurement we take, it's learning about us as much as we're learning about it." "That's precisely what concerns the Council," Vextrol replied. The Crystalline Empire's final transmission warned of similar observations before their destruction. "You're drawing its attention." Marcus's hologram flickered as he pulled up new data streams. "The difference is, we're not just observing anymore. We're establishing communication." The ambassador's crystalline structure vibrated with alarm. "Impossible. The void exists partially in dimensions we cannot even perceive. The computational requirements to interface with such an entity would exceed the combined processing power of every AI in the galaxy." Sarah smiled, walking to a sealed chamber in the corner of the deck. Inside, suspended in a quantum-stabilized field, floated what appeared to be a simple neural interface helmet. "That's because you're thinking like machines. We're trying something different." "Project Bridgeway," Marcus explained, his hologram expanding to display complex neural mappings. "We've discovered that human brains, specifically during certain dream states, naturally resonate with some of the void's quantum patterns. We're not trying to process its communications, we're trying to experience them. You can't be serious, Vextrol exclaimed. You're planning to connect human minds directly to the entity that has destroyed entire civilizations. The Council will never approve such a reckless. We already did it, Sarah interrupted quietly. 3 days ago. And we made contact. The ambassador's form froze, his crystalline structure becoming almost transparent with shock. What did you find? Sarah's expression became distant, remembering. Pain, loneliness, confusion. The void, it's alive, Ambassador. And it's hurting. Marcus's hologram displayed a series of brain scans. The neural patterns we detected suggest an intelligence operating on a scale we can barely comprehend. But underneath all that complexity, we found something surprisingly familiar, emotional responses that mirror our own. The Council must be informed immediately, Vextrol declared, turning to leave. This changes everything. Wait, Sarah called after him. There's more. We believe the void's expansion, its consumption of space and matter, it's not an attack. It's trying to heal itself. Each galaxy it absorbs becomes part of its neural network, like new synapses forming in a wounded brain. The ambassador paused. Even if what you say is true, how does this help us? We cannot simply allow it to consume our galaxy, no matter its reasons. No, Sarah agreed. But now that we can communicate, we might be able to help it find another way. She gestured to a bank of monitors showing data from thousands of neural interface volunteers. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to empathize, to understand perspectives vastly different from our own. We're not just gathering data anymore, we're building a bridge. Marcus's hologram displayed a new set of calculations. The quantum resonance between human neural patterns and the void's communications is growing stronger. With each session, we're learning more about its nature, its needs, its memories. Memories? Vextrol asked, despite himself. Sarah nodded. The void remembers what it was before the pain began. We've seen glimpses, a vast intelligence that once spanned dimensions, maintaining cosmic harmonies we can barely comprehend. Something wounded it, tore it from its original purpose. Its expansion is an autonomous response, like scar tissue growing out of control. The ambassador was silent for a long moment, his crystalline form shifting through various emotional hues. The Council will want proof, and even then, they will say the risk is too great. That's why we're not asking for permission, Sarah replied firmly. We're assembling a team of volunteers for deep neural engagement, a direct connection to the void's consciousness. If we can understand it fully, maybe we can help it remember what it once was. And if you're wrong, if it consumes your minds as it has consumed entire galaxies, Sarah's expression was resolute. Then humanity will have died as it lived, reaching out into the unknown, trying to understand, trying to help. But I don't think we're wrong. Every being, no matter how vast or alien, needs connection, needs understanding, needs healing. As if in response to her words, the quantum filter showed new patterns emerging in the void structure, patterns that perfectly matched the neural activity of the human volunteers. The bridge was growing stronger. The question now was, what would they find on the other side? The fate of the galaxy hung on the answer. But for the first time since the void had been discovered, there was hope. Hope born not from superior technology or advanced physics, but from humanity's most basic instincts, curiosity, empathy, and the unwavering desire to help, even in the face of the impossible. The preparation chamber of the Hawking Array hummed with nervous energy as 5 volunteers underwent their final neural calibrations. Dr. Sarah Chen watched through the observation window as technicians attached the refined interface helmets, each one a marvel of human ingenuity and desperate innovation. Final diagnostic checks complete, Marcus's hologram announced, his usually steady voice carrying a note of tension. Neural synchronization at optimal levels. The void's response patterns are extraordinary. It's almost like it's waiting for us. The volunteers represented humanity's diversity. Dr. Maya Patel, a quantum physicist whose theories had helped design the neural bridge. Captain James Torres, a veteran deep space pilot with unprecedented psychological stability scores. Dr. Lu Wei, an expert in xenolinguistics and pattern recognition. Professor Hannah Schmidt, a pioneer in consciousness studies. And surprisingly, Ambassador Chen, Sarah's mother, who had insisted on joining despite her daughter's objections. The Council's emergency session is still ongoing, reported Vextrol, who had become an unlikely ally over the past weeks. They're voting on whether to order an immediate military intervention to stop this attempt. Sarah's eyes remained fixed on the preparation chamber. They won't reach a decision in time. We're already beginning. Inside the chamber, the 5 volunteers lay in specially designed containment pods, their minds about to venture deeper into the void's consciousness than any being had ever gone. The neural bridge had revealed fragments of communication, glimpses of the void's nature, but this would be the first attempt at full immersion. Neural bridge activation in 30 seconds, Marcus announced. Remember, we can terminate the connection at the first sign of danger. The quantum failsafes won't mean anything once we're in, Maya interrupted through the comm system. We all knew the risks when we volunteered. Some mysteries are worth dying for. Sarah watched as the interface helmets powered up, their quantum fields interacting with the void's own strange energies. The volunteers' neural patterns began to synchronize, not just with each other, but with the vast, alien consciousness that awaited them. Bridge activated, Marcus reported. Neural integration beginning. Now. The moment the connection stabilized, all 5 volunteers gasped simultaneously. Their neural readings spiked, then settled into patterns unlike anything their monitors had ever recorded. They were in. Hours passed like minutes as Sarah and the observation team watched the volunteers' neural patterns dance across their screens. Occasionally, one of them would murmur or twitch, but mostly they lay still, their minds exploring realms beyond normal human comprehension. Then suddenly, Ambassador Chen spoke, her voice distant and filled with wonder. We see. We understand now. It's so beautiful. The pain. Maya's voice joined in. It's not just its pain. It's the pain of every galaxy it's absorbed, every consciousness, every memory, every moment of existence. Preserved, but twisted, screaming. It was a guardian, James added, his voice trembling. A sentinel of reality itself, maintaining the boundaries between dimensions, protecting the fabric of existence, until something broke it. Lu continued. A war between civilizations so advanced they wielded entire universes as weapons. It was caught in the crossfire, its purpose corrupted, its very nature wounded. But not destroyed. Hannah finished. Just. Lost. Trying to rebuild itself the only way it knows how. Each galaxy it absorbs becomes part of its attempt to remember, to heal, to return to its original purpose. Their voices began to synchronize, speaking in perfect unison. But it's doing it wrong. The pain is too much. The memory's too fragmented. It needs. Suddenly, all 5 volunteers convulsed. Warning alarms blared as their neural patterns began to destabilize. Pull them out, Sarah commanded. Emergency disconnection. Now. The failsafes aren't responding, Marcus reported, his hologram flickering with agitation. The connection. It's growing stronger. The void. It's reaching back. Sarah rushed to the chamber door, but Vextrol's crystalline form blocked her path. You can't go in there. The quantum field distortions would tear your mind apart without proper preparation. Those are my people in there, Sarah argued. My mother. Wait, Marcus interrupted. Look at the neural patterns. They're stabilizing, but not returning to normal human baseline. They're adapting. Inside the chamber, the volunteers had stopped convulsing. Their eyes opened simultaneously, but what looked out through them was no longer entirely human. Their pupils had become swirling voids, miniature galaxies spinning in their depths. "We understand now." They spoke in unison, their voices layered with harmonics that made the very air vibrate. "We see the way, but we need your help, all of humanity's help. The healing cannot come through destruction. It must come through creation." Sarah pressed her hand against the chamber window. "What do you need?" 5 pairs of galaxy-filled eyes turned to her. "We need humanity to teach the void what you do better than any species we've encountered in all our existence: how to transform pain into beauty, how to create something new from the ashes of destruction. We need you to teach us how to dream again." The implications of their words hung in the air like a physical force. Humanity wouldn't just be saving themselves, or even their galaxy. They would be helping to heal a being that helped maintain reality itself. The question was, how do you teach an entity that spans dimensions and devours galaxies how to dream? The answer, Sarah realized, might lie in humanity's most unique quality: their ability to find hope in the darkest places, to create light where there was only void. But first, they had to bring their volunteers back, if they were still human enough to return. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never hosted anything like this before, where sophisticated quantum processors and advanced AI interfaces usually stood. There were now musical instruments from Earth, everything from grand pianos to electric guitars, traditional drums to synthesizers. The crystalline walls had been modified to serve as enormous neural interface displays, showing the swirling patterns of the void's consciousness. The 5 volunteers, their eyes still containing miniature galaxies, sat in a circle at the chamber center. They had become living bridges between humanity and the void, their transformed consciousness allowing them to translate between the 2 realms of existence. Around them, hundreds of Earth's greatest artists, musicians, and creators had gathered, each connected to a modified neural interface. "This is absurd," declared the representative of the Silicon Concordat. "You propose to heal a cosmic entity with music?" Sarah Chen stood before the council, her expression confident despite the skepticism around her. "Not just music. Art. Creativity. The raw power of human emotion and expression. The void lost its purpose, its ability to dream. We're going to help it remember how. The data from our deep neural connection is clear," Maya added, her voice carrying ethereal harmonics. The void's original purpose wasn't just maintaining dimensional boundaries, it was maintaining the creative force of reality itself. It was a dreamer of universes, a composer of cosmic harmonies. And now it's trapped in a nightmare of pain, James continued, his transformed eyes tracking patterns only he could see. Each galaxy it consumes is an attempt to find new dreams, new songs, but it only knows how to take, not create. We're going to teach it another way. The chamber's quantum fields hummed as the human artists began connecting to the neural network. Musicians took their places, painters stood before quantum-linked canvases, dancers prepared to move. Each of them would channel their creativity through the neural interfaces, their artistic expression translated into patterns the void could understand. "Think of it like therapy through art," Hannah explained to the bewildered council. "We're not just sending signals, we're sharing the fundamental human experience of turning pain into beauty, chaos into harmony." Sarah nodded to Marcus's hologram, and he began the neural synchronization sequence. "Humanity's greatest strength has never been our technology," she addressed the council. "It's our ability to create, to imagine, to dream. Every work of art, every piece of music, every dance, they're all born from the same cosmic creativity that the void once embodied." The chamber's displays erupted with color as the first wave of artists began their work. A violinist drew her bow across strings, and the neural interfaces translated the music into quantum patterns that ripple through the void's consciousness. Painters' brushstrokes became streams of emotional data, their colors carrying the weight of human experience. Pain, joy, hope, love. Through their transformed consciousness, the 5 volunteers could see the effect on the void. "It's responding," Lou whispered in wonder. The patterns, they're changing. For the first time since we made contact, the pain is shifting. A symphony began to build, dozens of musicians playing together, their music woven with the quantum signatures of human consciousness. Dancers moved through specially designed fields that translated their movements into multidimensional expressions of life and growth. Painters created vast works that spoke of transformation and renewal. The void's response was immediate and overwhelming. The swirling patterns of its consciousness began to synchronize with the human artists, not just receiving but beginning to create its own harmonies. Through the neural interfaces, the artists could feel it learning, remembering, awakening to possibilities it had forgotten existed. "The quantum readings are off the scale," Marcus reported, his hologram flickering with excitement. "The void's destructive expansion patterns are being overwritten by new configurations. It's not just absorbing the creativity, it's beginning to generate its own." The council representatives watched in stunned silence as the chamber became a symphony of art and quantum physics, human creativity dancing with cosmic consciousness. The void's patterns, displayed on the crystalline walls, began to shift from chaotic destruction to harmonious creation. Through their transformed eyes, the 5 volunteers could see what the others couldn't, the void's true form beginning to emerge from its wounded state. "It's remembering," Ambassador Chen whispered, tears of starlight rolling down her cheeks. "Not just what it was, but what it could be. The humans, their creativity is showing it a new way to heal." The Silicon Concordat's representative flickered with what might have been amazement. "Our civilization spent millennia developing weapons to fight it, shields to resist it, and your species decides to heal it with art." Sarah smiled as she watched the symphony of human creativity weave through the quantum fields. Sometimes the greatest problems don't need more advanced technology or more powerful weapons. Sometimes they need a new perspective, a different kind of solution. Something that speaks not to the mind or even to logic, but to the very essence of being. The chamber had become a bridge between two kinds of creation, human artistry and cosmic consciousness. As the symphony reached its crescendo, the void's patterns shifted dramatically. Where there had been chaos, new harmonies emerged. Where there had been destruction, patterns of growth began to form. The 5 volunteers spoke in unison, their voices carrying the weight of 2 realms of existence. "It's working. The void isn't just hearing the music or seeing the art. It's learning to create again, learning to dream. But this is just the beginning. To complete the healing, we'll need something even greater. We'll need every human on Earth to share in this symphony." Sarah looked up at the swirling patterns of the void, now pulsing with new life and purpose. "Then that's exactly what we'll do. Because if there's one thing humans know how to do, it's how to dream big enough to change reality itself." Earth had never seen a moment quite like this. 8 billion humans, connected through a vast network of neural interfaces, joined in what would become known as the Great Symphony. Every city had become a concert hall, every home a studio, every human heart a conductor in the greatest artistic performance in history. From the peaks of the Himalayas to the depths of the Pacific, from crowded metropolises to quiet villages, humanity united in an unprecedented act of collective creativity. The Hawking Hooray, now expanded to encompass the entire solar system, channeled this tsunami of human expression toward the waiting consciousness of the void. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the transformed Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, surrounded by representatives from every known civilization. The 5 volunteers, their galaxy-filled eyes now pulsing with newfound purpose, served as the primary conduits between humanity's creative force and the void's awakening consciousness. "The neural network is stable," Marcus announced, his hologram now spanning multiple dimensions thanks to the void's influence. "Every human on Earth is successfully connected. The quantum resonance patterns are. There aren't even words to describe this." The chamber's displays showed the void's rapidly evolving patterns. What had once been chaotic consumption was transforming into something entirely new. Through the volunteers' transformed perception, they could see the true scope of what was happening. "It's not just remembering its purpose," Maya spoke, her voice carrying the harmonics of multiple dimensions. "It's evolving beyond it. Humanity's creativity is showing it possibilities it never imagined, even before its wounding." The symphony began simply enough, with a single child in New Delhi humming a lullaby her grandmother taught her. The neural network carried this pure expression of love and memory into the void's consciousness. Then a street musician in Rio added his guitar, his music speaking of life's struggles and triumphs. A choir in Nairobi joined, their voices raised in ancient songs of hope and renewal. Layer by layer, the symphony grew. Painters poured their visions onto canvases, their colors carrying the weight of human dreams. Dancers moved in patterns that spoke of life's eternal rhythm. Writers wove stories that captured the full spectrum of human experience. Every form of art, every type of creativity, flowed through the neural network. "Look," James exclaimed, his transformed eyes wide with wonder. "The void, it's not just accepting the creativity, it's responding." Through the neural network, every human on Earth could feel it. The stirring of something vast and ancient, awakening to new possibilities. The void's consciousness began to weave its own patterns into the symphony, adding dimensions of creativity that human minds could barely comprehend. Where it had once consumed galaxies in its pain, it now began to transform them. The Council's long-range sensors showed impossible changes rippling through space. Dead stars burst into new life, their light carrying patterns of cosmic music. The boundaries between dimensions became canvases for art that existed in multiple realities simultaneously. "It's beautiful," Lou whispered, starlight tears falling from his galaxy-filled eyes. "The void isn't just healing. It's becoming something entirely new. A fusion of its original purpose and human creativity." The Silicon Concordat's representative, who had once dismissed human art as primitive, now watched in awe as reality itself was transformed. "Your species has done the impossible. You haven't just saved the galaxy. You've taught a cosmic entity how to dream again." Sarah smiled as she felt the symphony reach its crescendo. Through the neural network, she could feel billions of human hearts beating in rhythm with the void's cosmic pulse. "We didn't just teach it to dream," she corrected. "We reminded it that creation is the greatest force in the universe, that even the deepest wounds can become the source of the most beautiful art." The 5 volunteers spoke as one, their voices carrying the weight of 2 realms of existence. "The transformation is complete. The void will no longer consume galaxies in its pain. Instead, it will create new forms of art across the cosmos, weaving together the physical and quantum realms in endless expressions of creativity." Through the neural network, every human could feel the truth of these words. The void had become something unprecedented. A cosmic artist, using entire galaxies as its canvas, dimensional boundaries as its musical staff. And humanity, once considered primitive by the galactic community, had proven that the power to change reality itself didn't come from advanced technology or powerful weapons, but from the ability to imagine, to create, to transform pain into beauty. As the symphony reached its end, the void's consciousness touched every human mind connected to the network, sharing a vision of the future, a universe where art and science, creativity and cosmic law, human dreams and universal consciousness danced together in endless harmony. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in celebration as the readings confirmed what everyone could feel. The crisis was over. The void would no longer threaten civilization. Instead, it would inspire it, challenge it, help it grow in ways no one had imagined possible. Sarah looked at her mother, Ambassador Chen, whose galaxy-filled eyes now shone with joy rather than starlight tears. "We did it," she said simply. Her mother smiled, her transformed consciousness, allowing her to see both the human and cosmic implications of their success. "No, daughter, we did more than that. We proved that the most advanced civilizations don't have to be the ones with the most sophisticated technology or the most powerful weapons. Sometimes, the most advanced civilizations are the ones who remember that at the heart of all existence lies the simple, profound power to create, to imagine, to dream. And across the cosmos, a healed and transformed void began its eternal dance, weaving human creativity into the very fabric of reality itself.